And welcome everybody. Great. So welcome to our Friday Zoom at noon from the FDU Rothman Institute. I'm Dale Caldwell. I'll be hosting. We have three dynamos, three extraordinary entrepreneurs. And this happens to be Women's Entrepreneurship Week. Montclair State really kind of started it. And the idea is to really celebrate entrepreneurship in general, but especially led by women. And so we're blessed to have three dynamos that we'll learn a little bit about in a minute. Just a couple of things about the Rothman Institute. As I mentioned, our mission, as I mentioned in previous shows, our mission is to support, promote, and research entrepreneurship with a special focus on family, veteran, urban, and student entrepreneurship. And so we have a number of programs: Veterans Launching Ventures, our Family Business Alliance, we're bringing in a small business development center, et cetera. And so one of the things that we want to call attention to is on Wednesday, the 27th, we have our 29th annual Family Business of the Year Awards. We have two winners here. So Debbie and Lisa are our past winners of our challenge. Robin, we need to have you apply next year. So you have a leg up. So it's the 27th at the Glen Ridge Country Club, right next to Montclair. So starting at 11:30, running till about 1:30. So you're all invited. The tickets are very affordable. We also have something, and I compliment Sue Slavin and Maura Paniski on the team, called the Shop Family Challenge. And so what we're asking you to do is real simple. We want you to go to a family business, take a picture or a video, post it on your YouTube page with the tag Shop Family Challenge, pound Shop Family Challenge. And so the idea is to get a lot of these pictures and videos and really begin to celebrate that because, Family Business Week is that same week. And we're really promoting this thing called Family Business Week. And so family businesses are the backbone really of the world's economy, and yet they're overlooked. So with that, we have Debbie Schaeffer, who's been a long-term friend and client. Debbie, Lisa Chowansky. Lisa, thank you so much, and Robin Wilson. And so what we're going to do is begin with the origins of it. I'm going to ask each of them to really talk about their background and how they got into the business, and then and we'll do that, and then we'll really get into the meat of it. So Lisa, why don't I start with you? Say a little about your background and how did you get into this business, this civil business?
Yeah. So hi, thank you. And I'm really honored to be a part of this panel today. Thank you for including me. My name is Lisa Chewanski. I'm the president and owner of HC Constructors. We are a heavy civil contracting company. We do basically underground work. Everything that happens before the building goes up, it's the horizontal construction, as Robin mentioned earlier when we were speaking. We are a certified SBE with the state of New Jersey. We're a certified WBE. I did not start in the construction industry at all. I went to school for health science. I started my career working for Johnson & Johnson, where I worked for 10 years. And I learned so much there. Johnson & Johnson is a very heavy training organization. They invest a lot of time in training in their employees. And that 10 years really set me up to run a business. And I started on a very entry-level position with J&J. I moved through the ranks there over that 10-year period, from a account manager to a senior account manager. When I left, I was an account executive. So I was really part of a very large organization, but also at the same time, J&J, when I started with them, had launched kind of a startup within their organization where they were trying to sell service. So I learned a lot. I had a lot of great mentors. And at a point in time, I had 3 children. I was married to my husband, who had taken on his father's family business, which was construction. I was traveling a ton and it wasn't really working for our family. So I took a step back and walked away from my very comfortable J&J job and decided to invest myself in this construction business. I knew nothing about construction. I had no engineering background, but I did know a lot about business, and I credit that to the 10 years I spent with J&J in this startup environment, which really prepared me to take on the business with my husband and to move it forward. So that's my story.
Right, great. What a great story. And Robin, why don't we hear your story and then we'll do Debbie.
I am the person who also left corporate America. I was working at a major executive search firm called Heidrick & Struggles, hiring senior level CEO level people. And they did an IPO in 1999. I, at that time, didn't even know what an IPO was, but I remember someone standing over my desk saying, "Today is the deadline, you better sign your papers." And I was like, okay, whatever. And so I use the analogy, Monday you have $2 and Tuesday you have some zeros behind that $2. And anyway, I decided to pursue my passion with the advice of a mentor and got my master's in real estate finance from NYU because real estate was my passion. Upon graduating with my development degree, I learned that women were very underrepresented in the field from the perspective of getting funding and actually being developers. And so I talked to a professor and I said, what should I do? You know, I've tried to get funding for these projects. And he said, you know, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but you need to be the busy homeowner's best friend. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, be a project manager for all these rich people you know. And I was like, okay. So I put the word out to some of those C-level executives. And the next thing you know, I'm in the Hamptons in the winter and in Aspen in the summer doing their homes. And when I say homes, these are like mini hotels, to be quite frank, with the accompanying square footage. And these individuals would want things from the foundation to the furnishings down to the toothbrush. And there's a lot of detail with that. I would do approximately 12 projects at a time around the country, and specifically in the New York area, because often it was also their New York home. And very quickly, if you do good work and it's all word of mouth, someone's going to take notice. So in 2005, I got a phone call, which I thought was a prank. I did not return the phone call because they said they were from Oprah's team. Haha, is what I thought. 3 phone calls later, on the last phone call, the gentleman said, his name was Adam Glassman, so I credit him with discovering me. He said, hey, it's not a prank, but if you don't call, we're going to go to the next person on the list. So of course I called right back. And at that time, my company was named WSG Consulting, which stood for Wilson Services Group. And the funny thing about that is, and I was asked the question, why is it called this? And I said, you know, if I fail, no one will know. My company had been successful by that time, 5 years. And so in Oprah's world, you can't set yourself up for failure. You have to be efficacious or have an efficacy model. Have the expectation you will succeed and you will rise to the occasion. So using that efficacy model, Adam said, hey, put your name in it and then we'll write the story. And so that night I went to GoDaddy.com, I think, and searched for my name, and all these crazy things came up and Robin Wilson Home came up. And I was like, oh, okay. And I spent that evening getting to yes, which is changing the website, the business cards, all that stuff. And the next day when he called, he said, so what are you going to do? And I was like, check out this new website. And then history was made. So multiple mentions later in her magazines and in her big book of happiness, plus continuing to do great work for clients, propelled me to a licensing deal, which ultimately generated over $82 million in wholesale revenue for kitchen cabinetry, as well as textiles. So I say, be ready for the yes, be ready for that moment when you can say yes, and then work as hard as you can to keep up on the hamster treadmill so that you continue to deliver value.
And Robin, what retailers did you work with? What retailers?
Our first line of kitchen cabinetry was sold at 400 independent kitchen dealers nationwide. Then we had our textile deal. We were at Bed Bath Beyond, Kohl's, Penny's, and other places. And in the last year, I've created a new brand, which I trademarked. It's called Clean Design Home. And I can't tell you the retailer, but I will tell you in January 2022, we will launch at 165 doors nationwide, including Hawaii, Guam, and Puerto Rico, plus Japan and the UK have picked us up. So we will be the first Black international textile brand sold at retailers. And that's very, very exciting.
Excellent, excellent. And another dynamo who's a good friend, Debbie Schaeffer. Debbie, do you want to tell about your family, but your amazing family business?
Sure, absolutely. So hello, everybody. So I'm Debbie Schaeffer. I'm the third generation owner of Mr. G Appliances in Lawrence Township, New Jersey. So if those of you that don't know New Jersey, right in the central New Jersey and right on the border of Pennsylvania. So third generation owner, we've actually just completed our 86th year in the business, and very, very proud of that. So we sell one store, and we sell appliances that you know and love for the home. So General Electric and Frigidaire and Whirlpool. And then of course we have all the wonderful luxury brands like Sub-Zero and Wolf and Miele and Thermador. And then we have some disruptors, what I call the disruptors of the luxury appliances, Heston and SKS. And it's a very exciting time to be in the appliance business. Robin will, I'm sure, attest to this, that, you know, kitchens and laundry rooms and have become, you know, they're the hub of the home and has become very design focused. So very exciting. About my journey, I'm a Jersey girl, so born in Trenton, though I was raised in Yardley, Pennsylvania, which was right across the border. But I'm back living in Princeton, New Jersey. And I actually went into the civil engineering at University of Michigan. I loved building, I loved construction. And so I went into that for my first 20 years. I built residential homes. I worked on commercial projects in New York City, and then took some time off to have wonderful twin girls who are now 28. I can't believe it. But when I was ready to go back to work, even though I grew up in the business, I really didn't work in the business. And my grandmother, who was, she was just an amazing pioneer in retail in the business. And she wanted me to come in with her and see if I would like working with her in the business. At that time was 2000 and 1998, 2000. And, you know, the store had some challenges. I call it the Walmart effect. You know, we were very strong, very successful in the 60s and 70s and early and in the 80s. And then when Best Buy, Home Depot, Lowe's, when they came into the area, they just didn't come in with one store. I mean, we beat the competition for all those years when Crazy Eddie and The Wiz and Circuit City came in, but they came in with one store. When these big boxes came in with 5 stores within your delivery area, it really put a lot of pressure on the business. And when my grandmother brought me in, we worked together and built a niche, and that niche was the luxury brands. But I made a very important decision in the retail was that I was not, being that we were in the business for so long, we had generations of wonderful customers. We did not, we wanted to keep our core customer, which I call that is the core appliances. So we went into the luxury, but we also stayed in the core. And that is why I feel that we stayed in business for so long, is because when the recession hit, and it hit us hard, no one bought luxury brands, but the core kept us going. And a lot of independents back then who were experiencing those issues went directly into luxury and got away from the core, and they did not survive the recession. So it's a great story about my grandmother. You can read about it on our website. Wonderful story. Ooh, you have to turn on your volume, Dale.
I was coughing, so I turned it on.
That's all right.
Now we have 3 dynamos, and so let me ask you this, Lisa, and I'm going to ask each of you. What do you know now that you would have told your younger self as you got into this? What do you know now that you would have told your younger self about business? Yeah,
You know,
start with Lisa.
one of the things that I love hearing just a moment ago is that she worked with her grandmother.
Mhm.
I certainly know my grandfather, my great grandfather actually had properties when I was a little girl, and I remember visiting those. And in fact, the first moment I realized I loved design was when my grandfather, he had several rental properties, and they were on one block, and he said, "What color should these be painted?" And I'm a little 6-year-old and, you know, used to the coloring book. And I said, "Easter egg colors." And so he painted the shutters and the eaves, Easter egg colors, so pinks and greens and blues. What I wish I had known was how fragile life is, you know, and I don't mean it in the negative way, but you only have a little bit of time sometimes to learn from your elders, and multi-generational information, whether recipes, design ideas, cleaning your gutters when you should do it, or little secrets about, and you know, the case of how do you say, little secrets about being a designer or a landlord, or just taking time, you know. And I say this because I used to work as many hours as was possible, and now I have changed that model to say every day I have to do something nice for myself, because that self-care and refilling the well is the only way that you keep going, because time does go quickly. My daughter's 9 now, right? And I remember when she was just in the crook of my arm. And so I just think we all need to, if I look back at 20, yes, work hard, but take a minute for you, because you've got to refill your well.
Great advice. Lisa, you're on mute.
Thank you. You know, it's funny. A lot of people ask this question right now, kind of in self-reflection. What would you tell your younger self? So my first thought about that is, would my younger self listen? Because when I tell my children things, and they're all becoming entrepreneurs at the same time, I have 4 daughters. It's as if sometimes I'm not sure you can put, you know, an old head on young shoulders. So I wonder if I would listen to myself if I told my younger self something. But one thing that I have learned is that what I think I would have told myself is that my lack of industry knowledge is my strength. So I'm more open-minded. I didn't come into construction with biases about how things are done in construction. I had a lot of people tell me, well, this is how it's done in construction. You don't really understand. And I was like, okay. But I would tell myself that because I think there would have been a lot less self-doubt and a lot more assurance about the crossover skills I did bring to that organization. And we've been in business for 30 something years. Even though my father-in-law started the business, he never really worked in it. So basically my husband and I have been running this business for 30 something years. I don't know, since 1989. And I just read a book by Adam Grant called Think Again. And it's a great book about being open-minded and how as an entrepreneur, you really have to keep an open mind. Think about the pandemic, right? Think about that. The other thing I was thinking is, if I could tell my younger self something, it would be invent an online platform for networking. Because not for the financial gain of it, but when my kids were little, and when I was starting my business, I had very little time and very little money. And online networking for a startup or a diverse business or someone who's just trying to establish their ground is critical. We didn't have that back then. You know, I would have to pick up and go somewhere versus say, hey, go take these kids out of here for an hour so I can network online. I mean, it's just been an amazing tool. And I think, you know, now I have the flexibility to go to events, but back then it was really hard for me to do that. So I think this would have been a game changer for the growth of my business had I had this back in 97 when I was starting up.
Right.
Thank you. Right.
Yeah, great. Too great. Debbie, what do you think? What would you tell your younger self?
So I've been thinking long and hard about this, and and I have 28-year-old girls who are in great careers, and so it's been a little easy for me because I sort of pushed things that I wish I would have known when I was in my 20s. But having a mentor. Now, my grandmother was a great mentor, but I also feel that so many people will say, well, my father or my mother or my grandmother or my uncle, but I feel if I had to look back, I would have liked to have had a mentor like you, Dale, back in my 20s, okay? And you have been a wonderful mentor to me. But I would have liked someone that was, I would say, outside of the family. We're in a family business, but outside of the family that would have guided, would just have somebody to talk to outside of the family. That's for mentor. But there's also another one is, I wish I was more like financially savvy, meaning I wish I understood my personal finances, and especially then because I wasn't working in the family business. As I'm older and taken charge of the store, I'm very much invested in really understanding. I've got a great retail accountant that guides me through it. But back in my 20s, when I was working, I was making good income, but no one was really helping me, telling me how to invest my money, put my money away, don't look at it, let it grow. And I've been forcing my children to do that. And what's interesting is they appreciate it. That if I didn't force them to do that, I don't think that they would have really dived in to try to understand and put money away for the long term. To them, being 60 and 70 is way far, but I tell them it's just around the corner.
Well, it was wonderful. And I'm looking at the chat and your comments have really resonated. So we're in 2021. And so, more and more businesses are led by women, more and more companies are led by women. Do women have to lead differently? Do you find that you have to lead differently, or can you lead the same, or talk as a woman in business? And I know there are unique challenges, anybody can answer. What do you think?
Well, I'll go ahead and get started. I think that, I would like to think that leadership is leadership, that good leadership doesn't really have a gender. The reality is the people that you're working with all have their own biases. We all carry biases. And one of my mantras early on when I was trying to build a business was lose the ego, build the business. So I was trying not to, take anything personally. I was trying to look at the business very objectively and say, okay, what do we need to do here? And I recently participated in a leadership program where we had to read a book first. And one of the questions in the book, which really resonated with me, was, why would people be led by you? Answer that question. And I was like, that's a really good question, something to reflect on, why? I think for me, as a woman in a leadership position, I think people follow me because I believe in them. So I believe, and they have my trust. So I believe that. I think that as the business world changes and as the business world becomes more diverse, leadership skills are really going to be a critical part of moving an organization forward. And when you're working with people, all different people from all different levels and all different experiences, you really have to be a great communicator, a great listener, and you have to build that trust that you're going to do what you say you're going to do, whether you're male or female, and then people will come along with you. And I'm sure Robin and Debbie, you can't build it by yourself. And I think entrepreneurship is very different than leadership. And they don't always coincide. You can have some great entrepreneurs who come up with amazing ideas, but can't lead people. The nice thing about leadership is, I believe, some people will ask, are you born a leader? Or I don't believe in that. I think everyone has amazing potential to become great leaders, but they really have to, have a great self-awareness and then be willing to learn and grow and really invest in themselves.
Excellent.
I
Debbie, Robin,
completely
anything else?
agree. I completely agree with everything you said.
Mhm.
And I want to add one more thing. I think that as women, we sometimes have compassion for people and we forget the bottom line. And that old saying of hire slow, fire fast, you must keep that in the back of your mind too. I've had the sob story, oh, I'm late every day because I have to stop and get my coffee. Okay, then go somewhere where you can get your coffee. You know, like you sometimes have to train, and then just stop, because that energy from that one bad apple that you're showing so much compassion and belief in can mess up the morale of the rest of the team. And I look back at some of the people that I kept a little bit too long, and then when they are gone finally, everyone's like, oh, you know, and
Right.
that I don't ever want to get to again. I want to get to a moment where you realize it's not going to work, you give them another chance, and you help them find a place maybe that is better for their set of skills. But everything you said resonates completely.
Yep. And I know Debbie, you have a story of just, I mean, you're one of the few leaders in the country of an appliance store.
I do have a story. So when Sub-Zero Wolf was introducing their new dishwasher called Cove, they wanted all of the owners, and only the owners, not their spouses, to come up for the introduction. And I was in a room, I could not believe it. There was over 200 people in the auditorium for the presentation. And I was the only woman owner in the room. Now, there were 2 sessions. I don't know what happened in the other session, but these were dealers, independent dealers, because Sub-Zero Wolf is really sold through the independent. And so that was very eye-opening to me, because most of those in the independent appliance businesses, most of those are family-owned businesses. And there's a lot of daughters and granddaughters and nieces that I'm sure were part of the businesses that, you know, didn't take a leadership position. I'm in a different situation, but that was very eye-opening to me. But because of the reputation that my grandmother had, and also my mother, that people really respect me, because we were on social media really early. A lot of people from all over the country in my business, they know who I am, they follow me. It's very positive for me. I felt very empowered, you know, in that situation, but I was also saddened. And I'm constantly trying to encourage more women to be in our business, because it's such a wonderful, I'm sure you know, Robin, it's really a great business. And, you know, my leadership skills are, you know, I'm really trying very hard. You know, the customer in retail, the customer, you know, if you didn't have your customers, you wouldn't be in business. Customers are very important. But I've learned along the way, and I'm still learning, is that your staff is so important, and you have to support them. And that's not just, you know, if they need a loan, give them a loan. If they, you know, need time off, you need to literally really say, you know, how great they are. And you know, really just keep reminding them that we're so grateful and so appreciative that they're a part of the team. And that, to me, yeah.
Especially this generation, you know, that I talked about, I was just keynote for something with Ernst & Young earlier today. It was talking about my idea of coach leadership, that people have to feel like you care about them and are going to develop them, because otherwise they're moving on to the next job.
Right.
So with that, what's keeping each of you up at night? What business problem are you each dealing with that's top of mind? Anybody can answer.
Ooh. That wasn't on your list, Dale.
Yeah.
You're living it, you're living it. So I figure that's an easy one because you're all living some challenges.
For me, it really is people and the safety of those people. So the work that we do can be very dangerous. And I can't be out there monitoring everyone's last move. So I really have to put my trust in our on-site crews that they're working. We give them a lot of training, but at the end of the day, those decisions they make every day impact my business substantially and their own health and safety. So that keeps me up at night. And people do keep me up at night, like staff, making sure we're developing people properly, making sure we're holding them accountable. Like Robin was saying, I can do everything on my end, but you've got a responsibility on your end. So making that work and making, sure that those relationships stay in place, because for my business, and I'm sure it may be the same for yours, you've got more of a product, but for me, I mean, anyone can do what I do, right? There's a lot of people that can provide you with an excavator and dig and put pipe in the ground. It all comes back to my people, making the right decisions, knowing how to work with the on-site customer. So that keeps me up at night. I always feel like there'll always be work. There's infrastructure money coming in, there's utility money, there's always funding. You might have to switch gears on where your market is, but there always seems to be construction going on. So I worry less about those markets, but more about my organization and making it the best that it can be for the people that are part of it.
Wonderful. Robin, what about you? You have a new launch coming. What's keeping you up? I'm sure a lot of things.
Everything's keeping me up these days. But global supply chain is a little scary right now. I can't even tell you. I'm very happy I'm partnered with a company that owns their own factory, and they can fly some things over. But people who are waiting at the ports right now for their goods to come off of a ship and a truck driver to show up to drive it somewhere, I feel very, very scared for those individuals. I'm happy now that we decided not to do a Christmas launch, but to do a launch in January, because we have a couple of extra weeks. I think global supply chain and the interconnectedness of our world has really been drawn attention to in the last few weeks. So that's my big thing right now for our launch.
And Debbie, I know there are a few things with you.
Well, Robin and I are on the same page. That the global supply chain and appliances it's devastating. I mean, we've never seen anything like this. And I really, quite frankly, I don't know when it's going to end on the appliance side. And just handling customers on the situation has been challenging, because when they're frustrated, the customer is gonna call me, and I take this business personally. It's just my nature, and I do what I can. But there's also inventory issues. I mean, there's people that have gotten their appliances, we're ready to deliver, but they're not ready because they've ordered them so quickly, or because they're having delays on other end. And just managing the inventory, on the short term, that's really keeping me up at night. But I don't know what Robin thinks, but I feel we really got another full year of this.
Right. Well, I understand. I have my client down in New Orleans. I'm doing a design project for a ground up build for a home. And we've been told 7 to 8 months for delays on Sub-Zero appliances. And they are probably one of the fastest ones. There's other companies that are completely reliant on ships right now and chips, I guess, so much as technologically driven that the chips aren't even available to put into the machines right now.
So, all our competition, big box stores, the big online, everybody's experiencing it. So we're just doing our best, but it does keep me up at night.
Yes.
It's a real challenge. And I guess what gets me is I talk to entrepreneurs and I talk to small business owners and folks in politics don't understand how hard it is. the decisions that you have to make, that you have to make, and you don't have a big staff as the big companies have, and you're competing against these big companies, and government's giving breaks to some of those companies. So any of you, and we're trying to be from a FDU Rothman standpoint, a voice of reason to kind of push back and say entrepreneurship is it. You need to support your family and local businesses in ways that you've never done that before. And so it really is hard. And so as you look about, the future, as the three of you are thinking about what's next and what are you doing? Robin, we know you've got an exciting future ahead of you. Assuming we're past the pandemic in a year, hopefully not 2 years, but beyond, what's ahead? Lisa, what's ahead for you? What are some of your goals?
So right now I have 2 of my 4 daughters working in our business. So my goals over the next 5 years are to really, to Debbie's point, to really get them a strong understanding of the financial aspect of that business. One of them is doing our marketing and one is doing our safety. But the bottom line is the financial basis of your business, growing that top line and understanding the bottom line and work in progress schedules and lots of different things that are specific to our business are going to be critical for them to understand in order to be successful in this business. And so I would like to at some point be able to back up a little bit and do a little bit more work out in the community with diversity and with supplies chains and everything else, and maybe be more involved in that and a little less involved in HC Constructors. But at this point, it's kind of our 5-year plan within our, it's our succession plan within our family to really onboard them to the point in the next 5 years where they're comfortable running this business, or they decide they don't want to run this business in 5 years and we look to pursue a sale or do something different. So that's where I am on a 5-year plan. And for the near future, trying to get really involved in workforce development, because there's a lot of opportunity within there's a labor shortage in construction, right? So we've got all these things. We've got infrastructure funding, which is a ton of money, but at the same time, we've got supply chain and material shortage and labor shortage. Right. And then we've got a whole bunch of recent graduates who don't have anything to do or don't think they have anything to do. Right. We use union labor. Our union operators are making $50-something an hour plus full benefits is great opportunity. So I'd like to really get involved in that workforce development and kind of bridge that gap so that when the money comes flowing through the infrastructure, there's labor and there's opportunity for maybe communities that haven't had an opportunity to get involved in this and to really elevate themselves as far as their own careers. So that's where I am. Wonderful, exciting. Debbie, what about you? What's the future? I mean, you've done an amazing job to get where you are. What are you thinking about?
So good question. So I'm very excited. I just brought on a new chief operating officer. His experience is in Bed and Bath and beyond. He was an executive with many, many years of experience in retail. So he is going to take a little bit of some weight off of my shoulders to work on the business and grow it because it has such a great foundation, which will give me a little more opportunity, just like you, Lisa, to go out in the community. I love being part of the community. We also have a real problem, especially in our area, on servicing appliances. And I I'm passionate about the technical schools and trying to make children feel, that's a great job to go into. Not saying that you shouldn't go to college, but that, going into service for appliances, being a plumber, technician, any of those things is a wonderful career. And I think that we have to change the mindset of that. And I want to be a part of that. So Mercer County Technical School, I'm doing stuff like that. So I just feel like building the right team, we all talked about, and I just know that the business is going to continue to grow. And I'll, have some great opportunities to, to help the community, be part of the community.
Well, and you've been doing so much in the community over the years, as has Mrs. G. So Robin, so an exciting 2022 coming up, hopefully, and that could launch a whole bunch of things for you. Talk about your future.
Gosh, first of all, I am so honored to be on this panel with these other women. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to get to know you outside of this conference. Each of you has something that I'd love to learn about. And so I put that on my 2022 list. I'm gonna have a conversation with each of you. When you are launching a new brand, and I should give a quick backstory, I was ready to quit in 2020. I was just like, I'm done. I've tried so hard, and I didn't see the traction. And then the deaths of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, all these things happened. And all of a sudden the media is like, well, we need to support some Black businesses. And we made a list of the top 10 businesses to support. And probably the week I was going to quit, all of a sudden we made the list, but I didn't know we made the list. And I was sitting at my dining room table and my phone just started, I call it rocking and rolling, when a lot of text messages come in. So the first thing I think is, oh my gosh, someone's fallen off a ladder at a design job. The second thing I realized was, oh my gosh, we're getting orders. We're getting orders. People are buying my brand. They're buying my old brand, my legacy brand. And when a hotel called and they said in 50 years, they'd never hired a Black business to provide any of their contracts. And they said, we'd like you to provide our textiles and be our exclusive purveyor. And the first order was like $80,000. And I was like, oh my God, we're back in business, right? And so I said, I don't want it to be about me anymore. And I said, the brand needs to be Clean Design Home, because my best-selling book was called Clean Design, Wellness for Your Lifestyle. And I need it to be about the home. It's pandemic time. We're all trying to get a clean home and we don't know how to design it so it's clean. And so I trademarked Clean Design Home. We got licensed. The brand took off, right? Now it's, how do you keep that momentum going? Will people keep voting with their wallets if the brand is about a pandemic? Or will they vote with their wallets because it's hypoallergenic? Or will they vote with their wallets because it's pretty? That's where I am. That's the dilemma for 2021. Do I want to license to other categories? I want to continue our growth at retail, but I want to remain relevant and also recognize that we might be setting ourselves up for that branch of my firm to sell one day. And so it's all that, what is 2022? If we do it right strategically, then, I'll hire a COO, I'll build my team out, but ultimately it's so that I can live my life in my community, Northern New Jersey, and possibly back in Texas for a development that I'll be working on down there. But, when you look at the trend today, whether it's Me Too, whether it's diversity, it is about, I call it the Year of the Woman. 2022 is the Year of the Woman, because people are recognizing that we are a great number of business owners. We do have success, and we often have evergreen businesses, meaning we're not just always trying to sell right away, but we want to build something that will last multiple generations.
Great. Well, very well said. It's kind of crazy that, that we're really just starting to really recognize the value of women in leadership positions. And so that teased my next question. I have a 17-year-old daughter. She's, looking for college and so on. And so how do we get, the younger versions outside of your families, how do we get more women to understand entrepreneurship? Any thoughts about that? How do we get, I'm on, a few school boards. What do we need to do to let women know that, hey, you can do it. You can be a successful entrepreneur.
I'm going to say this. I think having a corporate background first
Mhm.
or a mentor who's very strong is very important.
Mm.
It is, if you don't have a strong mentor and you jump into a family entrepreneurship business, you will derail. If you have a strong mentor and you have a little bit of corporate experience or a lot of corporate experience, you can succeed because you have the foundation. You
Yeah.
can't build it on sand. You've
Mm.
got to build it on some bedrock. And that means having, even when there's I call it, a mentor to me is someone who can see around the corner before you can.
Mhm.
They can say, if you do this, and it's up to you to listen.
Yep.
But if you don't have that and you can't see around the corner, inevitably there will be some drama that could put you out of business.
Mhm. Absolutely. Other comments? Lisa, you
I,
can say
I
something.
I also think some of the things that aren't traditionally framed as female traits, like bravery, and I don't mean
Yes.
bravery as far as like going to war, but I mean like bravery, like you're brave enough to start your own business. You're brave enough to say, I'm going to go into appliances, even though I'm one of two women in the room. I'm brave enough to, figure out my finances. I was just reading the story about, is it Sarah Blakely, the woman who
Spanx.
did Spanx, and like she couldn't afford a patent lawyer, so she read how to get a patent. You don't have to hire a lawyer, but she
Right.
read it,
Right.
and I think it's bravery and it's risk taking. And I think those are not traditional female rewarded behaviors. I remember, when you see a young girl who's telling everyone what to do, she's typically framed as bossy, but you've never heard of a man described as bossy. I mean,
Right.
they're assumed to be a boss, right? They are in charge. They're supposed to be telling. So I kind of feel like there's a lot of programs. I mean, starting way back when I was at J&J, it was take your daughters to work just to get them to see. But the program isn't really, it's less about the program and more about building that individual characteristic that wants to go for this. Like, I think to myself, my father was an insurance guy. He was very risk averse. He didn't want anything to do with that. My mom worked in a school system. So where did I get risk taking and bravery? Well, I was a gymnast. I mean, you didn't excel in gymnastics if you weren't willing to throw yourself backwards on the balance beam, and that's a lot of risk taking. And so these experiences, and I think as women now have so many more opportunities, like I was a gymnast because I could either be a gymnast, a cheerleader, or a dancer. And I wanted to do something a little more challenging. So I did gymnastics, but now there's a lot of opportunity. And I think sports will build that in women. I think we just need to really be lifting them up and making sure that we reward them for things that will then turn them into entrepreneurs. I've tried to do that with my own daughters. They, even though the two of them work for me, they are also starting their own business outside of my business, and I'm trying to encourage them to do that. I have another daughter who's a chiropractor, and she started her own business. So I think by the time they're my age, this won't be a thing. Like, women entrepreneurs will be like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Of course, women are entrepreneurs, right? That's my hope.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
Debbie's, one of my tennis partners. So Debbie's been a great tennis player her whole life. So sports. You want to talk about that? And Robin, I don't know if you played sports or not, but I want to find out what tennis was your thing too. So there we go, tennis. So we have 3 tennis players and a gymnast.
No,
And so,
absolutely.
yeah, talk about it. Tennis, Debbie.
So, I grew up, you had to peel me off the tennis court when I was in high school, and I played all over the country, and I was a walk-on in Michigan. At sports is a lot of corporations, actually, that's part of their interviews. They always talk about, they want the new hires to see if they're excelled in sports, because I think, of course, now tennis is not more of a team, but Lisa's absolutely right. when you're playing against someone and in a tournament, it's a lot of risk. It's, you're scared. You have to learn how to get through that. And it's a mindset, and you have to take failure, very well. And, it's all about, you lost this game, but now you're going to do better in the next game. And I think that you take that into life in general. I go back to that Sub-Zero story about being the only owner in the room. I have this quote I use all the time: be the CEO your parents always wanted you to marry. I think, it's on a coffee cup. And
I love that.
I think it's important. That's, to me, I just felt in that room, there was a lot of, I just felt that the people in that room that had granddaughters and daughters that were not encouraged. And I think that we have to start early. I come from a different situation. I had a strong grandmother who, she was a pioneer, and my mother also, she grew up over the business, and so she worked quite a bit as well. So it's a different story for me, but I still say that, it really starts from the family, to encourage. It's not like a gift. I think it has to be encouraged. I think, the confidence is very important, and that you can be whatever you want to be. And, so I do think it comes from family, but also from the schools as well, to encourage women, to encourage young girls to be whatever they want to be. But I think it's a good time now. It's about time. I think you're right, Robin. 2022 is going to be the year of the woman, and hopefully, if we ever come back together, I would like to be able to say, there are a handful of appliance dealers that are owned by women, and they're exceptional. And there should be more. Yeah.
Yep. So Robin, you're a tennis player too.
I got a scholarship to Grinnell College in Iowa.
Nice.
And my parents refused to let me go to Iowa from Texas.
Oh, really?
So I got my little, University of Texas academic scholarship. And they're like, oh, you can play for UT. Everyone was nationally ranked. It was a big joke. I was like, oh my gosh, so it was one of those go watch the tournament, because there's no way you're ever going to play for the UT Austin tennis team. So I let that go. But my daughter, she is like a mini, I don't know. She's amazing. She just won the third place Hershey Invitational Trophy in her age group. And she's training with a coach and for the last 3 years, and loves it. And it's one of the few times that I can get her to be at the front door waiting for me instead of me waiting for her. So
wow. Well, if you need some connections, with USTA, with that, I can do that. And so
Dale knows everyone. I don't know if everybody's recognizing he's a connector, but he's somebody who can see around the corner. I certainly would love for you to watch her play.
Absolutely.
It's mind-boggling. I am not, and if you've played before, this. There's nice play, I call it club play, and then there's really playing, so you end up sweating and you're hitting the balls at cross court. She is doing that to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm like,
I mean, it really is a great sport. And unfortunately, it's one of the few sports for young girls that, that has respect. My daughter is number one on the high school tennis team. So she just finished she's 16-2 this year. So
wow.
So good. So that'll go on her applications. But one of the things I see, and I don't know, and again, I'm a guy, and so I see my daughter and my friends, so often they have doubts. Women have doubts in themselves. My daughter's like, the president of the National Honor Society, she's number 5, and she's doing all this stuff, yet there's still these doubts. I can't do this. I can't I need to see so many guys who don't know anything, but come off as like they're the best in the world. Right. Talk to me about that. What is that? We just have a few minutes, but why do women have so many doubts? Am I wrong in that? If
I can just do a very quick story from today. I actually was on the phone with I'm doing a big subdivision development project as well. And I was on the phone with a lender person who I've known for years. And when I say lender, they're like a big millions of dollars. This isn't really lending like banks. It's you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, and so he said, Robin, you were on a call a couple of weeks ago and you dumbed your experience down. And it was like, ouch, and I was like, what do you mean? And I knew exactly what he meant. And he said, you've done project A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, and you only told about A and B, and you were reluctant to talk about A and B. He said, why is that? And I said, because I've been told that I've got great passion, but I can overshadow other people. And I was on a call with this male co-lead, and I was told that he's soft-spoken and I needed to be quieter. And I needed to, I hear that now and it's like, know your place, right? And I heard that and it made me self-conscious, and it made me go back to what I call the Southern Belle, where you just look pretty and twirl your umbrella. And I told him, I said, I am really conscious now of what I did. And he said, on your next call, if you tell them what you've done and you've got a master's in real estate finance focused on development and they can look you up, it might sound cocky to you. It might sound, but he said, that's what a guy would do. And he said, and you're the CEO of your company and you're acting like you're the administrative assistant, and you need to stop, because he said, you're worth it. You've paid your dues. That was an ouch moment this morning. Right. And so it's not just girls, right. It's women who are often told that they have too much passion, or that they take up too much oxygen in the room. And we all need to counsel ourselves also when another woman has big dreams and we go, oh, we need to validate and also support other women and their goals and their visions, because sometimes we all dumb ourselves down just to be palatable, for lack of a better word.
Lisa, you're shaking your head. We have.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that 100%. And I think a lot of times traditionally girls and women have been in more of a support role, regardless of the situation, whether it's business or whatever it is. And then sometimes we put ourselves in that position. And one thing I've been kind of preaching with my own children right now, and even with business, is I make no apologies. I'm not perfect and I will make mistakes, and I want you to call me out on it when I do, but I'm not making apologies for my behavior. People, even at J&J, your communication style is very direct. Okay, my communication style is very direct, but it's taken a while to get to that point where I make no apologies. I think that comes with experience. So I'm trying to teach my younger daughters that that's okay. I had a financial advisor say to me, you think like a man. I was like, really? What does that mean? I think like a man. And he said, well, you don't make emotional decisions. I go, well, there's a lot of women that don't make emotional decisions. And guess what? My husband isn't a very emotional decision maker, but that's what drives his passion for building the business. So there's no wrong or right, is what I try and teach my girls. There's no wrong or right. It's just who you are. You have to be true to yourself, figure out what you want, and be willing to work hard and go after that without making apologies, ever.
Well, this is
applause to you.
Yes. Well, applause to all three of you. We're at the 1 o'clock hour. This is great. We've gone on for another hour. I see the feedback, the comments going back and forth. That's the sign of a great discussion. But I just want to thank you, Debbie, Lisa, Robin. Folks out there, you're going to be hearing more from them. So stay tuned. So thank you all very much. Thank you all for watching. And again, this is going to be on YouTube. We know a number of people can't make it until they watch it later. But thank you all. You're all superstars, and it's an honor to be on this panel with you. So
thanks, Dale. Thanks for everything you do, Dale. Appreciate you.
Dale.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.